The body is lean. The heart and lungs are strong. The coat is luxurious. The food is Eukanuba, scientifically formulated to keep all your dog's vital systems in optimal condition. The food is Eukanuba. The dog is as good as can be. Eukanuba, results-oriented nutrition from the Iams Company.
Now you can have the trained dog you've always wanted. Follow the simple and fun steps of these award-winning one-hour videos and train your retriever, pointing dog, or family pet easily. Combining the time-tested methods of master trainer Richard A. Wolters with the newest proven techniques of today's top dog trainers, these videos take all the confusion out of training your dog. Water Dog, the Bible for training waterfowl retrievers. It is, according to experts, simply the best waterfowl training video ever made.
Fetch.
This acclaimed
Fetch.
82-minute guide teaches you how to have a well-trained retriever in a few short months. Made from the famous book of Richard A. Wolters, Water Dog illustrates in vivid detail how to have the retrieving dog you have always dreamed of. Field and Stream magazine exclaims, "This one does it all. I can't imagine a better training video. It's easy, practical, and effective." Game Dog for the basic retriever in upland and waterfowl hunting. Made from the classic book of Richard A. Wolters, Game Dog is a step-by-step guide on how to turn a 7-week-old puppy into a skilled retriever. This 60-minute top-quality video shows you how to have a sporting dog who is skilled in both upland and waterfowl hunting. Field and Stream magazine states, "The best video for the hunter who wants a reliable working dog and the pleasure to train it for himself." Family Dog, a foolproof guide to turn your dog into a first-class member of your family. In 63 entertaining minutes, learn how to choose the perfect puppy, how to housebreak your new pet, and how to easily teach the basic commands necessary for both a family dog and a hunting partner. Made from Richard A. Wolters' popular book, let Family Dog show you how to have a trained dog in simple, easy steps. The Washington Times praises, "Take 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the afternoon, and in 16 weeks, you'll have a well-trained animal." Gun Dog for the complete pointing dog. Gun Dog shows you how to have the trained pointing dog you have always wanted. See in exciting detail the simple techniques used successfully by tens of thousands of upland hunters over the past 39 years. Gun Dog is made from the best-selling book by Richard A. Wolters. Taking only a few minutes each day, let this 61-minute video take all the frustration out of upland dog training. The Washington Times says, "The name Richard A. Wolters means the best there is or was. Drop everything and get this video." Top Dog, electronic training for the finished retriever in waterfowl and upland hunting and field competition. This is the first video to show you how to properly use the electric collar to train your retriever. See in visual and clear detail how to use the proven methods of the pros to transform your dog from a mediocre retriever to an advanced hunting machine in a few short months. The electronic collar gives you a 1,000-foot leash that makes the training quick and easy. Learn it all in this action-packed video from the makers of the Richard A. Wolters videos. Top Dog teaches both waterfowl and upland hunting and is a must for field trialers and hunt testers. Chuck Petrie of Ducks Unlimited magazine says, "This is the best video I've seen on the proper use of the electronic collar." Top Dog 2, electronic training for the advanced retriever in hunting and field competition. This one-hour video shows you in simple steps how to take your dog to the highest levels of performance with the proper use of the electronic collar. Beginning where Top Dog leaves off, practice these easy-to-follow drills, some never seen before on film, and have the advanced retriever who does it all. Learn how to avoid poison birds. Take precision lines on 250-yard blind retrieves. Honor another dog. And many more exciting skills. Whether you want a top retriever for upland and waterfowl hunting, as well as winning field competitions, or a complete pointing dog for upland game birds, or if you simply want a well-behaved family dog, These 6 best-selling videos produced by Joseph Middleton make training your dog fun and easy. Field and Stream magazine says of our videos, without a doubt, this is the most popular method ever filmed because it works and it's easy. For complete details, see our website at www.family-dogs.com. To have one of our videos, see your favorite outdoor store or catalog, or call 1-800-310-4418 now. See a dramatic difference in your dog after only one lesson. These simple methods work for dogs of any age. Taking only a few minutes each day, follow the simple steps in these videos and have a trained dog in a few short weeks. And for a limited time, you can save $10 by calling now. 1-800-310-4418 or order on our website www.familydogs.com. Visa, MasterCard, or Discover and check accepted.
See it. Good. See it, Ann. See it.
Ready. Good cast.
Take it. Hey, right here. Right here. Take her. Take her. Heel. Heel. Shake it out. Heel. Gene, I need to pick this dead bird up. This bird ain't going nowhere. Heel. Sit. Sit. Here. Sit. But heel. Heel. Sit. 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 Here, Annie. Heel. Sit. Good job. Heel. Sit. Heel. Sit. Drop it. Shake it out. Shake it out. Okay.
Great day, partner.
Heel. Let's go. Heel.
The well-trained retriever, one of the sporting world's great athletes. They bring joy to themselves doing the work they do best, and joy to their owners. These dogs were trained by Tony Hartnett from Foul Weather Kennels in Graham, North Carolina. Tony went duck hunting for the first time in 1987. He fell in love with retrievers that day and has been working with them ever since. Tony has trained retrievers professionally for 5 years now, and in that short career, Tony has qualified one of his retrievers for the AKC Nationals every year for the past 4 years. We met with Tony to discuss some of the secrets of his successful training methods and to learn how Tony has been able to build on some of the Richard Wolters training techniques found in the videos Water Dog and Game Dog to take a retriever from a very good dog to a top dog.
So you moved to North Carolina from Texas.
That's right. And I do speak Texan. So if I get talking a little too fast for you, you just slow me down.
I'll do just that. Tony, as you know, Top Dog is being produced by the same people who produced Richard Wolters' training videos, Water Dog, Game Dog, Gun Dog, and Family Dog.
That's right.
Well, Water Dog did such an effective job of training the retriever. How is Top Dog going to add to that?
Water Dog and Game Dog did a good job on training the retriever on the lessons he needs to know. This video will teach you how to reinforce those lessons using the electric collar. Most people who are interested in training a retriever are familiar with the electric collar. The problem is most don't know how to use it properly. We're going to look at exactly when to use the collar, how to use the collar, and when not to use the collar.
I have an electric collar, but I'm afraid that if I do something wrong, I'll ruin the dog.
A lot of people have those fears, and rightly so. But if you follow the lessons in this program, you'll have complete confidence in your ability to work with this collar.
Sounds good. So when are we going to start with the electric collar?
We're going to talk about the electric collar, but first things first.
Picking a puppy was covered in Water Dog and Game Dog. We want to at least mention the subject again because we don't want you to pick a pup that may be difficult to train. Pick a pup with the basic instincts: water instincts, lovable instincts, and desire, a willingness to work. Once trained, you'll be using your dog in one of 3 categories: as a retriever for hunting, for field trials, to participate in a hunt test, or for all 3. When picking a pup, see if the parents of the pup have qualified in a hunt test or a field trial. It's not mandatory that a parent be a field trial champion. The mother needs to be a loving dog, a dog that likes the water. She needs to be intelligent. If she's passed a senior hunt test, then she is well trained in the things retrievers need to be able to do.
There is no guarantee how a pup will turn out, but we can at least pick a pup from proven parents.
That's right. Before we begin to talk about reinforcing lessons with the collar, I want to talk a little bit about early education. It's so important that I have to mention it, even though it's been mentioned in Water Dog and Family Dog.
If a dog has not been socialized or has not learned anything by the time he is 2 years old, you're probably not going to teach him anything. You've got to get that brain working at an early age. That's why it's important that you bring the pup home on the 49th day, just like it says in those 7 critical learning periods covered in Water Dog and the other Richard Wolters videos. Teach pup to live by your rules. It's a good way to get pup to start learning. In the early days of play, you can actually begin to teach valuable lessons. Raising pup in your home gives you opportunities to teach early lessons for sit, here, and kennel. As you'll see, these commands are the basis of a well-trained retriever.
The most important lesson there is get the pup's brain working at an early age. My worst nightmare is when a client brings me a 2-year-old dog that hasn't been socialized or trained in these early lessons.
Okay, so early education is as important with dogs as it is with children.
It's not important. It's extremely important.
Okay, so are we ready to use the electric collar?
No. Your question helps raise a very important point. A dog is never trained with an electric collar. A dog is trained using repetition and consistency, teaching the same lessons over and over until the dog knows what he's supposed to do.
Then where does the collar come in?
That's what this video is all about.
I'm listening.
The purpose of the electric collar is not to teach. The purpose of the electric collar is to reinforce lessons the dog already knows.
Have you ever had a dog who knew the command here, but only obeyed it some of the time? Reinforcing that command with the electric collar means the dog will obey that command every time,
But
under all circumstances.
Okay, the electric collar is only used to reinforce lessons the dog already knows.
almost. But first we want to talk about how the electric collar works.
There are many brands of electronic collars. The kind you're going to need for this training is one that gives you the choice to use momentary stimulation or constant stimulation. The constant button sends stimulation to the dog until you release the button. In addition to there being momentary stimulation and constant stimulation, there are different levels of stimulation. These levels go from level 1, which produces the least amount of stimulation, to level 5, which produces the strongest stimulation.
What do you mean by stimulation?
Pain. But it's not much pain. Level 1 is hardly enough to notice. If you don't believe me, you can put it on your arm and try it out. Level 5 will get the dog's attention. It is pain, but it's not the kind of pain that would hurt the dog. But there has to be some discomfort, because the basis of this training is the dog learning that he has the power to turn off the pain by obeying the command.
And there's a constant button and a momentary button.
Right. When I'm instructing you to use the constant stimulation, I'm going to use the word constant or burn.
For that, use the constant button. A red dot will appear on the screen to show you exactly how long the collar should be hot. By watching the red dot, you will be able to see exactly when we start the stimulation in our training and exactly when to release the stimulation.
When I'm instructing you to use the momentary button, I'll use the word nick. And that means we'll be nicking the dog for less than a second.
Most of the reinforcement in this training is done with a nick. When we use the nick button, the red dot will appear on the screen like this.
Read your manual that comes with your particular collar. You can train with momentary stimulation, however the collar I'll be using has both.
Great, are we ready to get started?
First tell me what the electric collar does.
The electric collar does not train the dog. It reinforces the lessons the dog already knows.
So let's talk about how to take a trained dog and turn him into a top dog.
Sounds good to me.
This is Sonny, a 6-month-old Labrador Retriever. We're not going to use the collar to reinforce lessons with Dog's name yet. He's still in the stage of learning those lessons. But we do want Sonny to start wearing the collar now to get used to it. We don't want him to get collar-wise, learning that when he's wearing the collar, he has to obey. And when he's not wearing the collar, he does not have to obey. That's called being collar-wise. We want to avoid that by always having your dog wear the collar during the training sessions. Just don't activate the collar until the dog is ready for collar reinforcement. Never make the dog wear the collar in the kennel or when he's not in an actual training session. We want to make sure that the collar fits properly. These 2 points are what deliver the electronic stimulation. If the 2 prongs don't fit against the dog's neck, the dog will feel no stimulation at all, and you'll make no progress in your training session. Make sure the collar is not too tight. If you can slip your fingers under the collar, it's probably not too tight.
Read your manual to find out exactly how your collar works. This particular model, once it's activated, you're ready for collar conditioning.
To determine the lowest level your dog will respond to, start with level 1. Give the dog a command he knows. If the dog does not obey the command, hit the constant button.
No!
If the dog does not respond, you know the dog is not feeling the stimulation. Raise the level 1 notch and try again. When you see the dog respond, that's the level you need for now.
We want the dog to feel the smallest amount of pain possible, but he has to feel some pain. The basis of this reinforcement collar training is the dog learns that when he obeys a command, he turns off the pain.
So in order for it to work, you have to create some pain so the dog will want to turn it off.
That's right. It's not the kind of pain that would ever harm a dog, but it will get his attention. Before we continue on, I'd like to say one thing more about the intensity level. During your collar reinforcement exercise, you may run into a situation where you hit the constant button and the dog freezes up or will not move. That means one of 2 things. The dog doesn't understand what you want, or the intensity level is a little too high. If something like that happens, lower the intensity level a notch or 2 and see if that corrects the problem.
But you shouldn't have that problem if you start with the lowest intensity first, then work your way up if needed.
That's right.
So how do you actually begin the collar conditioning?
We look at the command that the dog knows at this point in his training. We shouldn't even be talking about collar conditioning unless the dog knows sit, hear, and heel. Once the dog fully understands those 3 commands, we're ready to transfer the pain of the crop to the pain of the collar.
So far in the training, we've given the command,
Sit.
then the sting from the crop. The dog soon learns that if he doesn't obey the command, he'll get another sting from the crop.
Sit.
What we want to do now is transfer the sting of this crop over to the sting of the electric collar, so the dog will know they're both one and the same. With the dog on a lead and a crop at our side, we give the dog a command that we know he understands. The next time, instead of using the crop, we nick the dog with the collar. The dog knows that the sting from the crop means sit now. The dog soon associates that the pain from the collar means sit now. And you've transferred the pain from the crop to the collar.
So if the crop worked, why transfer the pain to the collar?
One of the basic rules in dog training is never give a command unless you can reinforce that command immediately. Here, here.
If the dog is on a lead, we can enforce the command.
Here, heel, heel.
If the dog is at our side, we can enforce the command.
Here, Sonny.
But if the dog is out, away from us, we have to be able to enforce the command. The only way to do that is with the electric collar.
Here, sit, sit. This is a 12-foot rope. The collar gives me the extent of a 500-foot rope or a 1,000-foot rope, whichever I might need.
Then what do we do next?
Let's start reinforcing the commands the dog already knows.
For the purposes of this training, we'll assume the dog understands sit, here, and heel. Most of the time, especially when you have control, the dog will obey these commands. But when we don't have control, the dog may not obey. By reinforcing the lessons, we train the dog to obey every command all the time, under all circumstances.
To reinforce sit, here, and heel, we're going to use the constant burn button. When the dog obeys the command, we'll release the burn.
The dog learns that by obeying the command, he can stop the pain. That's why it has to be constant.
Right. If it was a nick, the pain might be gone before the dog had time to obey the command. We'll start by reinforcing sit.
If you whistle a dog to sit, the dog needs to sit. By the time you catch the dog to correct him, the dog has forgotten what you wanted. Timing is everything. The electric collar allows you to be in control of timing.
Sit.
This dog understands the sit command. The first thing we do is transfer the pain from the stick to the nick. We do that by giving the command sit, then hit constant stimulation. The moment the dog obeys the command, release the constant button.
Do you see how this helps the dog learn that he is in control of the pain?
The dog learns that he has the power to make the pain go away by obeying the command.
The dog already knows the pain of the crop's coming from me.
The dog soon learns that the pain of the collar is coming from you, the trainer. You want the dog to know that you're in control of making the pain, and that he's in control of turning off the pain. Do this exercise 3 or 4 times.
Sit. Good.
Throw fun bumpers. The early collar conditioning can be stressful to the dog, so we don't want to do too much too soon. The next day, try the exercise again. This time, don't use the crop. Start with the collar.
Here. Sit. Good. Heel.
What if the dog does not make the connection that the collar, like the stick, means sit now?
If the dog shows any hesitation or confusion about the collar, go back to the crop. The same way we did in the beginning exercise where we went to the stick, then the nick, and then go back to using the collar only.
Once the dog knows that the nick means the same thing as the stick, set the stick aside. The next day, or at least the next training session, make sure the dog knows what the collar means. By now, this dog is conditioned to the pain of the collar.
It's not something that just jumps out of nowhere and bites him. He's learning that he is in control of the collar.
And the quicker he obeys the command, the quicker he stops the pain.
Exactly. We've taken a long time to explain collar conditioning on sit. We'll be able to move along a little faster now to show you how the collar can reinforce commands the dog already knows.
Here means come here right now. To give the command, say here or come, whichever command the dog is familiar with. The whistle command for here is a long, shrill whistle.
The dog in that example understands both the voice command and the whistle command for here. To reinforce here, give the command. At almost the same moment, apply constant pressure. As soon as the dog begins to come to you, release the pain. Watch this exercise. The red dot will help you understand the timing. Here, dude. Here. 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 Sit. Do this exercise about 3 times, then throw him some fun bumpers. Then try using the whistle command. By taking careful steps to collar condition the dog on sit, the dog should have learned that obeying the command, he can turn off the pain. That makes collar condition on here and heel go faster.
Heel allows you to move the dog wherever you want to put him. It allows you to line up the dog to send him on a back. Heel means for the dog to put his butt at your heel right now. As with all collar reinforcement, the dog should already understand the heel command. If you need to learn how to teach the heel command, go back to the lessons found in Water Dog and Game Dog. To reinforce the heel command, begin with the dog in the sit position. If the dog lags behind, repeat the command, then apply constant pressure until the dog corrects the behavior. If the dog gets out ahead of you, command heel.
Heel.
Apply a constant burn until the dog obeys the command.
Good, heel.
So once again, it's command, hit the constant button, let off on the pain when the dog obeys the command.
It depends upon the command. On the here command, as soon as you see the dog start to come to you, you release the pain. On sit, release the pain, the split second the dog's butt hits the ground. We don't want the dog to think that just starting to sit will release the pain. On heel, you want the dog to fully obey the command before you release the pain. It doesn't mean sort of heel, it means come over here and get your butt at my heel right now. When the dog has done that, you release the pain.
When you feel the dog is confident in his ability to succeed at turning off the pain, try a combination of commands. Do sit, here, and heel, all in the same training session. Just remember, this is work. Don't overdo it. Try to end each training session on a success. And remember to end each session with fun bumpers. Once we've collar conditioned the dog on sit, here, heel, we're ready for debolting.
When a dog bolts, that means he runs away to avoid pressure.
Even humans have been known to do that.
That's right. But we do an exercise called debolting. Heel.
In debolting, we continue to
Here.
collar condition the dog. But we do it in an area where the dog will try to run from the pain of the collar to a safe haven.
We give the dog a chance to make a mistake to create a training opportunity.
Exactly.
To put pressure on the dog in this exercise, we'll use the walking heel. Let's see how we are able to stop the dog and correct the behavior of bolting.
Heel. 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 Here. Here, Annie. Heel. 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 Here. 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 Get in here. 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 Right here. Sit. Sit. Now heel. Heel.
A lot happened here. You asked the dog to heel, and when you hit the constant button to reinforce the heel command, the dog ran away.
To avoid the pressure.
You corrected the dog with no. Then you commanded the dog to come here, and you held the constant button until the dog returned to your side.
That's right. This is direct pressure. We use it for reinforcing the basic commands.
Okay, now give me an example of using indirect pressure.
Let's say we're teaching directional backs. What?
We cast the dog in a right back, but Jocko spins left. We immediately say no, then blow the sit whistle.
Right.
The dog must sit, be corrected with the momentary button, and obey the command to cast back correctly. The dog has to know the only way to avoid the nick is to obey the command. When the dog gets it right, throw him a fun bumper and put him away for the day.
This will be a good place to define marks and blinds.
The first day you brought your pup home, you may not have known it, but you were throwing the pup marks. The term mark simply means any bird that the dog saw fall and was able to mark down. The dog is released for a mark on the sound of his name. Since the dog was able to mark where the bird fell, the dog is able to find the bird on his own without guidance from the handler.
Get your mark.
A single mark is when one bird fell that the dog was able to see.
Annie. Get your mark, Annie. Annie. Heel. 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 Sit. Sit. Come on. No. Heel. Heel. Sit. 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 Get your mark. No. No. Annie.
When working with a pup, it's a good idea to hold the pup to make sure he sees where the mark falls. Then release him for the fun of the retrieve. The basics of teaching marks is covered in Water Dog. After every lesson, it's a good idea to throw fun bumpers. It's always a great way to end the day on an upbeat, positive exercise. A blind retrieve is when the dog did not see where the bird fell. The dog is released on a blind retrieve using the command, back.
Back.
The dog has to find the blind, following directions from his handler.
Back.
So a blind retrieve is when the dog did not see the bird fall. And a mark is when the dog did see where the bird went down.
That's right. We'll talk more about marks and blinds later, but for now, that's your basic definition.
So by now, the dog is collar conditioned and debolted. What do we need to cover next?
We need to get this dog bringing us a bird, so let's go to force fetch.
By now, your dog should already be well trained in the force fetch. If you're not familiar with the basics of the force fetch, those basics are taught in the Water Dog video. The force fetch is based on the dog learning that he can turn off pain. The dog learns that getting the bumper in his mouth turns off the pain. Or the trainer creates constant pain through the ear pinch. And the dog learns that by picking up the bumper, he can turn off the pain. It's the same concept as using direct pressure with the electric collar. The dog learns that if he obeys the command, he turns off the pain.
Before we begin, let me remind you, the dog has to already understand force fetch.
We're going to reinforce that command with the collar.
Exactly. And the first thing we have to do is transfer the pain from the toe pinch or the ear pinch to the collar. Let's start with the ear pinch. We pinch the ear to create pain, just as shown in Water Dog. As soon as the dog gets the bumper in his mouth, we release the pain. Now, let's see if the dog can make the connection that he can also get rid of the pain of the electric collar by getting the bumper in his mouth.
The first time we try the electric collar on the force fetch, start with one hand on the dog's collar.
Fetch.
Pinch the ear and lead the dog toward the bumper. Give the fetch command.
Fetch.
Then apply constant pressure from the electric collar while pinching the ear. If the dog makes the connection that he can end the pain from the collar by picking up the bumper, he will do that. Place the bumper further down the table and give the command. Apply constant pain with the collar while leading the dog to the bumper. If the dog still doesn't understand what you want, stop. Give the fetch command. Apply constant pain. Put the bumper into the dog's mouth, then release the pain, like this.
Fetch. Good. Good. Sit. Sit. Good.
It shouldn't take an intelligent dog long to realize that he can release the pain from the collar by picking up the bumper. When the dog makes that association, we want to go right into the walking fetch. For the walking fetch, place several bumpers in a line 10 to 15 feet apart. The object is for the dog to pick up each bumper in the line in order. Go through the line of bumpers one time using the verbal commands and a stick.
Good. Sit.
Heel the dog.
Sit.
Have him sit.
Go. Here. Fetch.
Then command
Fetch.
fetch.
Good. Heel. 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 Fetch. Good. Heel.
We don't hit the dog hard with the stick. We use the stick to goose the dog along, like a
Fetch.
coach saying, "Let's
Fetch.
go."
Good dog. Heel. Fetch.
Go through the line of bumpers twice.
Good. Heel. Heel.
The stick means, hurry up, get it now.
Sit. Heel. Heel. Fetch. Fetch. Heel. Fetch. Fetch. Heel. Heel. Sit. Sit. Fetch. 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 Good. Heel. Sit. Fetch. Good. Heel.
Good. Heel. Sit. Heel. Fetch.
Now we're going to replace the
Good
pain of
dog.
the stick
Good dog.
with the pain of the electric collar. Give the command fetch, then apply
Okay.
constant pressure. Watch the red
Heel.
dot.
Sit. Fetch.
The
Fetch.
collar means
Good.
hurry
Heel.
up, get it now.
Heel. Sit.
When the
Good.
dog
Heel.
realizes he can release
Heel.
the pain by picking up the
Fetch.
bumper, he will retrieve the
Good.
bumper as
Heel.
fast as possible. And that's what we want.
Fetch.
When the dog will pick up a
Good.
line of
Heel.
bumpers every time, he's ready for the exercise we call force to the pile.
Fetch. Good. Okay. Heel.
Force to the pile is our first step toward running a blind. A blind, as you recall, is when we ask a dog to leave our side on the command back.
Heel.
And then following the handler's signals to find and retrieve a bird that the dog did not see go down. That's why it's called a blind. The dog did not see it go down.
Here. Sit.
To be able to run a blind, the dog has to know how to line up in the direction the handler wants. The dog has to know to stay on a straight line on the way out. The dog has to know how to sit in a remote sit.
Fetch.
The dog has to
Oh.
know how to take overs, moving from one side
Fetch. Oh.
to the other. The dog has to know how to continue back on command from the remote sit
What?
and take a directional back. The dog has to know how to spin in the proper direction
What?
each time he angles back. Once the dog finds the blind, he must be able to retrieve the bird straight back to the handler.
We have a lot to learn.
Practically all of that has already been covered. Running a blind is built on the basics of sit, hear, heel, and fetch. That's why it's so important that we reinforce those basics.
Here.
Lining the dog up
Sit.
for the blind retrieve is a
Heel.
function of the heel
Heel.
and hear commands.
Heel. Good. What?
The actual retrieve is a function of hear and fetch. The remote sit is a function of the sit command.
I see. So we're well along in the training already. What do you mean by force to the pile?
Well, the pile in force to the pile is literally just a pile of bumpers. Mark, dude.
The first thing we do is identify the pile for the dog by throwing a bumper to the pile. You want enough bumpers for the pile to be visible. All of the bumpers should be white. Since the dog sees this first bumper thrown, that makes it a mark.
The dog saw the first bumper thrown, so we'll release him on his name. From this point on, we're not going to throw any more bumpers. We're going to ask the dog to go to the pile and bring us a bumper that he hasn't seen us throw.
That means the rest of the bumpers in the pile are blinds.
You could say that, because this is the beginning of teaching the dog to command back. He understands the command fetch. We want to change fetch to back.
Fetch.
During the force fetch
Fetch.
and the walking fetch,
Good. Okay.
the
Heel.
dog learned the meaning
Heel.
of the command
Sit.
fetch.
Fetch.
In the first lesson, we teach the dog to go back to that pile
Okay.
again
Heel. Heel.
and
bird.
again on the command fetch.
Fetch.
The dog is learning that we want him to go to that pile and bring us a bumper, even though he did not see that bumper thrown.
Sit.
When the dog is doing this successfully, end the exercise for the day and put the dog away on a win. Here's how we transfer the fetch command to the back command. Identify the pile by throwing the first bumper.
Fetch.
Release the dog on the command fetch. Then the dog is released on the command fetch back.
Good bird.
Fetch. Back.
When the dog returns, heel the dog again.
Here.
Line him up with the pile. This time on
Sit.
what is now a blind bumper, release the dog to the pile on the word back.
Dead bird. Back.
Remember, the pile is only about 10 yards away, depending upon how close you think the dog needs to be
Right.
in order to make the exercise
Heel.
easy for
Sit.
him to understand.
Dead bird. Back.
Most dogs will understand from the tone of our voice and from the previous day's exercise that back means go to the pile and return with a
Hold
bumper.
it. Here.
When
That'll
we
go
reinforce
heel.
the dog's behavior with
Sit.
praise, the
Sit.
dog soon comes to
right.
realize that back
right, good
means
job.
the same thing as
Let's
fetch.
go. Heel.
What if the dog did not make the connection between fetch and back?
Then we have to let him know exactly what we want. And to do that, we'll go back to the ear pinch.
Dead bird.
With the dog at heel,
Back.
give the command, dead bird,
Back. Here.
The moment you say the word
Back.
back, pinch
Back.
the ear with your thumbnail while moving the dog toward the
Back.
pile.
Back.
As soon as the dog gets a
Good.
bumper in his
Heel.
mouth, release the pain.
Heel. Right here. Heel. Heel. Sit. Sit. Dead bird. Back. Back.
If the dog still does not get the idea,
Back.
repeat the exercise.
Back. Back. Back.
By now,
Here.
the dog should be making the connection
Here.
that dead bird back means fetch.
Remember, the collar's not used to teach, it's used to reinforce. So if the dog doesn't come to understand that back means fetch, I'd rather go back to the method that I used to train the dog, and that was the ear pinch. Back doesn't mean go to the pile on your own good time. Back means go to the pile with style and momentum, and the collar helps build style and momentum.
To build style and momentum, we use the electric
Back.
collar as an invisible stick to urge the
Back.
dog along and let him know we mean get down there and get the bumper now.
Hey. Heel. Good. Heel. Stretch it up.
At a point about halfway to the pile,
Back.
repeat the command back and give the
Back.
dog a nick with the collar, an invisible crop. This is not the kind of pain the dog has to turn off.
Hey.
It's the
Heel.
momentary button
Good.
that lasts less than a
Heel.
second.
The back command means leave my side with style and speed in the direction that I've lined him up.
And we crop the dog with the collar to build momentum.
Anytime you get into repetition, you're going to lose momentum and drive. Sometimes he'll even balk on a command. This is when we use force. If you get into a situation where the water's freezing and the wind's hitting the dog in the face, he might not want to hit that cold water on the command back. That's why the back command it must be reinforced, so he will obey your command.
Do we nick the dog every time we send him on a back?
No. I only nick him when I think he's loafing or not giving it his best. When I'm introducing this invisible crop on force to the pile, I only nick him about every fourth time or so.
Well, I noticed you said dead bird back. Do we have to use the word dead bird on every back command?
Dead bird is a signal that cues your dog there's about to be a retrieve, so yes, you want to say it every time for consistency.
Is there a place where we use the command mark?
Well, mark's not a command, it's a cue. It lets the dog know, hey, heads up, something's about to happen.
At this point, the dog is going back to the pile 10 to 15 yards, leaving the handler's side on the command back with style and momentum.
That's right.
Then what do we do next?
We need to start increasing that distance.
Once you think the dog understands the exercise, stretch it out to 25 yards. If you find that the dog is not doing well at that distance, move closer.
Here. Here. Here.
When the dog is forcing to the pile with energy and confidence, move back to where you started and continue the exercise.
Okay.
When the dog is doing well at 25 yards, move back. Praise him. Throw fun bumpers or marks, and put the dog away for the day. To begin lesson 3 of the exercise, set the pile out as far as you can throw. Identify the pile with the first bumper.
No.
At this point, the pile has become a pile of blinds. Force to the pile at this distance for the rest of this training session. In the 4th session, we want to increase the length of the exercise. Set the pile out as far as you can throw. When the dog leaves for the retrieve, move back around 30 yards to lengthen the exercise. When the dog returns, heel the dog and send him on a back. Each time you do the exercise, back up further until finally the dog is forcing to the pile at 100 yards. Remember to use the invisible crop every fourth back or so. When the dog is forcing to the pile at these longer distances, showing energy, confidence, and enthusiasm, then you've completed the exercise.
If you don't have anybody to help you with your marks, this is a great substitute. Katie.
When the dog goes on a back, he must be trained to turn and sit to follow our instructions. That's called the remote sit.
What? The dog should sit based on the reinforcement that we've already done. If he doesn't, there's a way to teach the dog to obey the remote sit whistle.
Get a check cord and a pair of gloves. Let the dog run toward the pile, but just before the dog reaches the place you want him to sit, blow the whistle command. The check cord will bring the dog to an instant stop and spin him to face the handler.
Use this rope method 2 or 3 times and the dog should understand that the whistle means sit and turn towards the handler. If the dog still doesn't understand, we have a tool to take it one step further. But it will only work if the dog has properly been collar conditioned.
Send the dog to the pile.
What?
Blow the whistle command for sit. Hit the constant burn button on the collar. If the dog has been properly collar conditioned, he will sit right then to make the pain stop. By now, we have the dog sitting on the whistle on the way to the pile. Now we need to have the dog sitting on the whistle on the return from the pile. This should be a lot easier to teach since by now the dog knows the short whistle blast means stop where you are and sit. Send the dog on a back. Let the dog get a bumper. On his return, hit the whistle. The dog should sit. If he doesn't, reinforce that whistle command with the collar. At this point, we have the dog sitting on the way to the pile and on the return from the pile. To bring the dog the rest of the way in, release him with the come in or here whistle. At this point, we need to reinforce the dog's ability to cast back to the pile from a remote sit. Walk the dog at heel over to the crossover. Sit the dog at the crossover. Identify the pile by throwing a bumper to the pile over behind the dog's back. The dog should turn, go to the pile, and pick up the bumper. At this point, we have a dog forcing to the pile from our side and from a point halfway to the pile.
Sit.
This is a very important lesson to reinforce. When we send a dog on a blind, we have to be able to send the dog back. We do that by first putting the dog in a remote sit and then sending him back.
How can the electric collar help us in casting the dog back from a remote sit?
The dog obeys because obeying turns off the pain. If you're sure the dog understands the back command, then here's how the collar can help you reinforce that command.
Put the dog in a remote sit. Command back.
What?
If the dog does not obey, command sit.
Sit.
When the dog sits, command back.
What?
If the dog refuses to back,
Sit.
repeat the command
What?
and use constant stimulation. Release the stimulation the second the dog obeys the command.
Once the dog is forced to the pile, remote sit on the way to the pile, remote sit on the return, and cast back from a remote sit, we're ready to introduce overs.
In the world of duck hunting,
Over.
overs simply means go over to this side
Over.
or go over to this side. If the dog is out there a ways and is not moving in the direction of the downed bird, we will want to cast the dog over to the left or cast the dog over to the right if the bird is in that direction.
There are basically 4 directions a handler can direct a dog on a blind. The dog can move straight out on the command back. The dog can come in on the command here or the come in whistle. The dog can cast right or the dog can cast left. The next lesson is how to teach the dog how to cast right or left.
I thought this video was about reinforcing lessons the dog already knows, not about teaching lessons.
This is one of those situations where I've got to at least show you how I teach this so I can show you how I reinforce this lesson with the collar.
In teaching overs, we're working on an axis. We're going to eventually create a pile on what we will call second base. To the right, first base, and to the left, third base.
Now remember, eventually we'll have bumpers at all the bases, but right now we've only got bumpers at second base.
The pile the dog has already been going to.
That's right, and that's why we're going to start there.
From the heel position,
Right.
send the dog to the crossover. Sit him facing the handler. Toss a bumper to the right. The dog should watch it land, then look to the handler for directions. At that point, give the dog a cast and say over.
Oh!
This is the first time the dog has heard the word over.
He may get it right away. These dogs are smart and body language means a lot. You may have to help with the command fetch.
Fetch!
As soon as the dog begins to obey, add the word over.
Fetch! Over!
At this point, the dog has picked up his first over and brought it back to the trainer. Work
Right.
with this bumper to second base 3 times.
Here.
Then send the dog back to first base.
Fetch! Over!
Going back to an exercise the dog is familiar with builds confidence. At this point, sit the dog at the crossover. Identify the left by throwing the bumper to third base. Then command fetch over,
Fetch!
along with that
Over.
all-important exaggerated body language. Do this to each side a couple of times.
Fetch! Over! Fetch! Over!
Then go to the more
Right.
familiar pile on second base. When you feel the dog is understanding what you want, that should be enough for the first day.
What?
The next day, repeat the same exercise using the command over without using the word fetch.
Over!
Continue the exercise the same as the day before. To first base,
What?
to second,
Over!
and to third base, changing up with lots of casts to the more familiar second base location. For the third lesson, put a pile on first base and third base.
One of the problems you may have early in the lessons that when you send the dog on back to second base, he may want to retrieve a bumper from one of the closer piles at first or third base. So the first time you do this exercise with piles out at both sides, just send him back to the pile at second base only. Going to the original pile is something the dog understands.
During this first lesson, using 3 piles, line the dog up and
Right.
send him to second base. But because one of the other piles is closer, the dog goes there.
Here!
That's not what we wanted, but it created a training opportunity. If the dog is going to the wrong
Right.
pile, the first thing we do is stop him,
No!
nick him,
Here!
then call him in.
Here!
Keep doing this and keep correcting the dog.
Here! What?
Eventually, the dog will know exactly what you want.
I remember the lesson from before, never burn on the fly, but it seems logical to correct the dog with the collar when he's in the act of going to the wrong pile.
It seems that way, but it doesn't work. The dog may not know what you're correcting him for. There's too many things going on, and the dog may not know which one he's done wrong. The dog is on his way to retrieve a bumper. He might even mistakenly think you want him to pick up a bumper quickly, so he'll grab one from the wrong pile. You want to avoid the confusion by separating the piles at a good distance.
In teaching overs, you want us to use the word no when the dog begins to make the mistake, but we haven't talked about when the dog learned the no command.
Again, this video is about reinforcing lessons that the dog already knows. No should have been introduced during the puppy stages, the first time the dog chewed on your hand. But as long as we're talking about no, I will say this. The tone of your voice is very important, and body language is just as important as the tone of your voice.
Okay, So what do we do next?
The next thing we do is send the dog anywhere we want him to go on the T pattern with a bumper in his mouth.
Why with a bumper in his mouth?
It's called a field check. Up until now, we've sent the dog to the pile to retrieve a bumper. Now we want to see if the dog will go to the pile just because we say go there.
Put a bumper in the dog's mouth and cast him back to second base. We have 3 piles to our front. When he reaches second base, sit him with the whistle.
What?
Then ask him to go back again beyond the back pile. Call him up to the midpoint.
Over.
Cast him to the right pile. Resit him. And cast him beyond first base. Cast him to the left pile. Resit him.
Over.
And cast him beyond third base. Then call him in. Give him a fun bumper and move on.
At this point, we have a dog casting back. That means we also have him casting back further than the pile. We have him casting to the right, we have him casting to the left, and we have him coming in. Now we want to reinforce the dog's ability to cast back at an angle.
That means casting back, angling to his left, or casting back, angling to his right. This is called a directional back. The directional back helps us put the dog in the exact spot we want him. Let's say the dog needed to go back and slightly to our left.
What?
If we send the dog back and he spins to his left when he turned, he would be angling back to our right and miss the spot where we want him to go. When the dog turns, he naturally angles back one way or the other.
Our goal is to get the dog to spin one way or the other when we cast him back, so that when we cast back, he angles in the direction that we want.
How do we teach the dog to do that?
I'll teach you how to reinforce the lessons using the collar. If you want to learn how to teach the dog how to spin back in the proper direction, that's covered in Water Dog.
When you give the command, lean out to get the dog leaning in that direction too. Then when you give the back command, the dog should naturally spin and angle back in that same direction.
What?
Assuming that the dog knows how to angle back correctly, how do we reinforce that with the electric collar?
Through a combination of spin drills and reinforcing those spin drills with the collar.
When you are sure the dog understands how to spin in the proper direction, send him out and give him a directional back. If the dog disobeys, blow the whistle to stop the dog.
No!
The dog knows what you mean by no. Make every effort to correct the problem using the no correction. If the dog refuses to turn in the correct direction, then you can use the collar. When the dog spins in the wrong direction, say no.
No!
Then blow the sit whistle. Then
No!
nick the dog with the collar. Then cast the dog back again. It won't be long until the dog fully understands what you want.
Good bird.
By now, the
Bye.
dog is completely reinforced on the T pattern on land. The dog can go back from the hip, back from the remote sit. The dog can go back to the pile and further back. The dog understands overs to the right, overs to the left pile. The dog can make a directional back to the right and a directional back to the left. We have reinforced the dog's training so that we can direct the dog to any place we want on land using the whistle and hand signals.
But we're going duck hunting. Now we need to reinforce the dog's same abilities to take those directions in the water.
I'm looking forward to getting into the water. But before we do, I'd like to talk a little bit about upland game. More and more people are using their retrievers to hunt upland game. How is the electric collar going to reinforce those lessons?
When teaching a retriever to work upland game birds, we're simply reinforcing 2 commands the dog already knows: sit and over.
When you're in the field, tell the dog to hunt 'em up. That should get him out ahead of you looking for birds. When the dog is out ahead of us, we teach the dog to move right and left, quartering the field using the over command. Whistle to get the dog's attention. If the dog runs behind you, simply turn and keep the dog in front of you. This way he learns to always stay in front. When you need the dog to quarter to the right, handle it in the same way using the over command. After a while, the dog learns that you want him to move back and forth across the field.
That doesn't seem all that difficult.
It's the same old thing, building on the basics that the dog already knows. That's why it's so important to reinforce those basics.
When hunting upland birds with a retriever, do we expect the retriever to point?
Not exactly. He stops to flush. To be more exact, he sits to flush.
When the dog finds game, we don't want him to flush the bird, then chase. Please refer to Game Dog for more details on upland hunting. If you hunt a lot of upland game, we suggest you get this video. We want the dog to flush the bird, then sit, so he can mark where the bird goes down. We want to teach the dog that when the bird flushes, he sits, so he can mark that bird.
Good girl.
Let's go over this one more time. Show me how you use the collar on sit on flush.
It's all a function of the sit command. All we're trying to teach him is when the bird flushes, he needs to sit.
When you know the dog is near a bird, be ready with the whistle. As soon as the bird flies, blow the sit command. If the dog does not sit, blow the sit command again. Then immediately hit the constant button until the dog obeys the command.
It won't take long for the dog to know exactly what you want. When the bird flushes, we want him to sit. Let's talk about duck hunting. Let's get our dog in the water. The first exercise we do in the water is called swim by.
To do this exercise, we need a small body of water with clean banks. We're going to start the swim by in the same way we started the T pattern. The swim by is a T pattern on water.
Like the T pattern on land, a big part of this exercise is repetition. If you try to swim the dog across a large body of water time and time again, you're going to end up drowning the dog. You need a small body of water for this exercise.
We're going to start with a pile on the opposite side of the pond. As always, we begin the lesson by identifying the pile with a bumper. Send the dog to the bumper and back to us.
I want to remind you that when we sent the dog back on the T pattern on land, every fourth back or so, we nick the dog to build momentum. We're going to do that on the swim by, but we're not going to nick the dog in the water.
Well, how do you crop the dog with the electric collar during this exercise without doing it in the water?
You do it before the dog hits the water, like this.
When you set up for the exercise, put about 10 feet between the dog and the water. This way, you can nick the dog when he's still on land. Let's watch this exercise again. Watch the red dot to learn the timing. On the first day, make several trips to the pile. When the dog is doing well and feeling confident, throw fun bumpers and put him away for the day. It's time now to teach the dog to sit on the remote whistle in the water. If your dog is responding well to the remote sit on land, the remote sit in water may be a natural thing to him. He'll stop and tread water when he hears the whistle, watching for the handler's signals.
Most dogs will obey a sit whistle on the water naturally if he's properly conditioned on land. If the dog won't do it, there's a way to teach him using the check cord.
We used a check cord to teach the remote sit on the T pattern. Here's how to use a check cord to teach the remote sit in the water. Send the dog on a back. Let the dog swim to the midpoint, blow the sit whistle, and stop him, holding him in place with the check cords. With this method, The dog should learn the remote sit in water quickly. When we have the dog sitting or treading water on the whistle, send him back on another cast. During this session, send the dog back to the pile several more times, the same as we did on land. We want 3 backs all the way to the pile for every one where we stop the dog and have him sit in the water. Repetitious stops could create a popping problem, which we will discuss later. Now, stop the dog on the return from the pile. When the dog is driving well to the pile and feeling confident, you're ready to move on to the next part of the exercise, overs in the water. At this point, we're going to introduce an over in the water and an exit from the water. Exit means a lesson in how the dog can properly get out of the side of the pond. Start with the dog at heel, cast the dog back. As the dog approaches the middle of the pond, give him the sit command on the whistle. When the dog sits for instructions, toss a bumper to the right side of the pond. The dog is probably going to start to swim for that bumper. Don't let him.
No, sit.
When the dog is treading water and looking to you for instructions, cast him toward the bumper. As the dog swims over to get that bumper, walk around to the opposite side of the pond. When he gets the bumper, call him to the other side of the pond to show him another way out. Praise him for a job well done.
See ya? Hey, okay, good girl. Hey, hey, hey.
Go back to the line and continue the exercise.
Okay.
Send the dog straight back across the pond. No stopping, just straight back.
Okay.
After a few times straight back, it's time to show the dog third base. Whistle the dog into a remote sit in the middle of the pond. Identify the third base area by throwing a bumper. Don't let the dog swim for the bumper until he's released. As the dog swims toward that bumper, walk to the opposite side of the pond. When the dog gets the bumper, call him to you. And praise him.
Okay. Continue this exercise for another couple of days, changing up overs with forcing back to the pile.
Well, you said this would prevent popping. What is popping?
When we stop a dog on the way to the pile, we stop him at the crossover. But if we stop him too much at the crossover, he'll start stopping there on his own. He'll start anticipating getting a directional. We don't want him stopping there on his own. That's called popping. That doesn't help in duck hunting, and it will ruin us at a hunt test or a field trial.
For the next step in the exercise, put a pile of bumpers on the edge of the pond, at first base and third base. Make sure the bumpers are on the edge of the pond, not out on the bank. If we send him on a back to second base and he tries to swim to the pile at first, we'll do the exact same thing that we did on land. Whistle the dog into a remote sit. Tell him no, nick him with the collar, then call him back in, and send him back again. In this part of the lesson, the whole purpose is to keep the dog going back to second base, and to teach him that he does not go to any other place but second base unless we let him. In the next training session, lay out 3 piles, at first, second, and third. Identify the pile at second base. Put the dog in a remote sit and send him back. After a few times back, put the dog in another remote sit and ask for an over. If the dog shows any confusion, identify the pile by throwing a bumper. Then command over.
Over.
When the dog casts to get the bumper, don't let him get out of the water. Using hand and voice signals, cast the dog to the other side. Walk with him along the bank.
Over.
The dog will want to get out and be with you. We don't want that. We want the dog to listen to us and obey our command to cast back over to the other pile. We will not take no for an answer.
Back.
If the dog will not go back into the water and cast to the other side on command, make sure he sees your hand signal and command over. If the dog still refuses to go back into the water, wait until the dog has all 4 feet out of the water. Then blow the sit whistle, say no,
No.
nick the dog, then again command over.
Over.
The dog should go back into the water and make the cast. Walk the dog across the pond, continuing to give hand and voice signals for over.
Over.
When the dog reaches the pile on the other side, praise him for a job well done. You may have to walk the banks a few more times, but soon the dog will know what you want. At that point, we should be able to give the over command from home base. A swim by simply teaches the dog how to obey hand signals and run a blind retrieve in the water. At this point, our retriever is becoming a top dog. He's learned many lessons, and those lessons have been reinforced with the electric collar. There is no way we can cover every lesson in one video, but we've covered enough to learn how to use the electric collar in most situations you'll encounter. As mentioned, there are more drills and lessons in Water Dog and Game Dog. Plus, we've also created a hardcover book to accompany this video. It also has more lessons and details than we are able to include in the video.
At this point, though, the most important member of the team to drill is not the dog. It's you, the trainer. You must be certain the dog knows exactly what you expect of him when you give a command, either a voice command or a whistle command. These dogs do not understand English. In your early training, you must associate words and whistle commands with behaviors to teach a dog a language that he can understand.
What are some of the most important things that you want owners and trainers to learn about the electric collar?
Be patient, it's a dog. Don't expect perfection every time. Never use the electric collar as punishment out of anger. Some people think that if a dog does not obey a command, punish him. That's not the purpose of the collar at all. It's a tool that creates discomfort, but the way it works is that it gives the dog the power to turn off that discomfort. That puts the dog in control of the situation and helps him to build confidence. Soon the dog will be proud that he can beat the clock, obey the command before the pain ever starts. And that's winning, and winning builds confidence. As you and your top dog retriever accomplish the steps in this video, and your friends marvel at the feats your dog performs, we encourage and greatly appreciate your recommending our videos and books to your friends and family. Thank you.